Here were some of the projections from 2022. Of course, this team had a great season, going 9-3, winning the SEC West. Our projection had them at 7-5. My prediction was a little bit higher. I was at 8-4, and I did have them losing to Alabama. It didn't go exactly how I predicted in the other games there, but you look at the game against Alabama. If they had lost that game, they would have been right there at 8-4. So again, that was my prediction, but the projection, which is what we're doing here in this video, had them at 7-5. The FPI had them at 7.7 and 4.4, and they gave them about a 10% chance to win the division. The over-under was at 7.5. So really, the most likely record seemed to be 7-5 or 8-4. They beat that, went 9-3, and again, they were a big surprise last season. I wasn't shocked, but I tell you where I was surprised. After losing to Florida State, to lose that game and go 9-3, to me, that was a big surprise. If they had beaten Florida State and finished 9-3, I wouldn't have been that surprised because I knew this team had a lot of potential. But after losing that game, yes, I was very surprised that they went on to go 9-3 and knock off Alabama. So a great year for them last year. We look ahead to this 2023 schedule, and this is the scale that we'll be using to do the projections. If the game stays in the white, that means it's a 50-50 game. Games that I think the spread will be, 3, 4, 5 points, kind of in that range or less. Then you kind of go up a step. The games in the yellow and the purple, those will be games that I think the spread will be around a touchdown, 6, 7, or 8 points. Then you've got the orange and the blue. Those are games where I think it'll be a double-digit spread, 10 to 20, kind of in that range. And then your green and reds, those will be the games where I think the spread will be over 20 points. Games where it's almost a guaranteed win. And we'll start with the easy wins. They've got 3 of them: Grambling State, Georgia State, and Army. Now, Army's probably closer to 80% than they are 100%. It's always tough to prepare for the triple option. We know that. With the games at home for LSU, they're going to be much more talented. I don't really see them having too much trouble in that one. It's one of those games that might be close for a half, but they should take care of business in these 3 non-conference games. I would be very surprised. I mean, it would be shocking if they were to lose one of these games. And I am viewing, when we do these projections, I'm viewing LSU as a top-tier team this year. I had one of my way too early top 25 in the top 5. I've seen them there in other way too early top 25s as well. Pretty much everyone at least putting LSU in the top 10. So that's how, when we do these percentages, I am viewing this as if LSU is a top 10 team this year. Maybe they won't be, maybe they will be. We'll find out. But again, it's early, and this is a very early projection. So we go now to the blue games where I think they'll be favored by double digits. You got Arkansas, at Missouri, Auburn, and Florida. Again, I just feel like LSU will be a tier above all of these teams, or maybe even 2 tiers above these teams. And 3 of these games are at home: Arkansas, Auburn, Florida. I think they'll be about a 10-point favorite in those games. And same thing with Missouri, even though it is on the road. I think they'll be about a 10 to 12-point favorite in that game as well. If LSU's not quite as good as we're expecting them to be, then that could possibly knock these games down into the purple. Maybe the spreads for these games are closer to 8 or 9 points, but I feel like it's going to be right there around 10 to 12, 13, kind of in that range. So we're counting these games as wins. The games in the blue, the games in the green, those are counted as wins in the projection. That gives them right away 7 wins. So 7 wins with 5 games left here on the schedule. Let's go through those. In the purple, we've got Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. So the reason Mississippi State and Ole Miss are here, just because those games are on the road. Those are teams that could potentially be top 25 teams. So LSU, again, should be a step above them. But playing on the road, I don't think we can make them a huge favorite in those games. I think they will be 6 or 7 point favorites in both of those games. Ole Miss, using that transfer portal, they're probably going to be pretty good. Mississippi State, a little bit more of a question mark, but that game seems like it usually is close. And then Texas A&M, those games have been wild as of late. You never know what to expect. A&M's a very talented team. You can make an argument because this game is at LSU. Maybe this should be in the blue, but I don't think so. I think that the game, I think the spread will be about a touchdown in this one, and I'm expecting Texas A&M to be improved this year, so that should be a pretty good game there. That leaves Florida State and Alabama. The only game where I think LSU is going to be a clear underdog is the Alabama game, mostly because it's on the road. If this game was in Baton Rouge, I'd probably call it a 50-50 game, but it's a revenge game for Alabama. We know how Vegas likes the Crimson Tide, so I think they will be favored by 6 or 7 points in this game. Maybe they're not, though. Maybe they turn out to not be as good as most people expect them to be. They do have a lot of guys, a lot of roster turnover at some big spots this year, so you never know. But looking at it right now, and again, this is an early projection, not a prediction, but an early projection, I believe LSU will be about a touchdown favorite. And that leaves Florida State. That's the 150-50 game. This is a game that I think could go either way. Both teams have a lot of hype coming into this year. Both teams preseason top 10s. I've seen both teams in preseason top 5s. Maybe not in the same top 5. Maybe they have been. I'm not sure, but these are two teams that I think they will both be in the preseason top 10. So this is just a massive game to kick off the season. Neutral field in Orlando, of course, obviously closer to Florida State, but still there should be plenty of LSU fans at this game, and that's the one that really could go either way. That's the toss-up game, in my opinion. And I'm not saying they're going to lose to Alabama. I'm not saying they're going to beat Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M, but again, the spread for this game is probably going to be like a field goal, probably around 3. So what we do, again, we count the blue and the green games as wins. We don't have any orange or red, so we don't count any losses. Then we average everything else out. The purples are counted as 65%, the white as 50%, the yellow as 35%, and that gives you a projection for LSU at 10-2. So 10-2 is the projection. So out of those 5 games, because they'll be clear favorites in 3 of the 5, that means that they would go roughly 3-2, and maybe they lose to Florida State or beat Florida State and lose to Ole Miss or vice versa. However it comes out, the averages would tell us that LSU, their projected record is 10-2 in 2023. So 1 game better than last year. I think LSU fans may be hoping for more than that. Maybe they're hoping for an 11-1 type year, maybe a run at the college football playoff. But again, the projection for 2023 is 10-2 for the LSU Tigers.